Welcome to today's lesson on the Injured Spouse Form 8379. When a taxpayer is filing a joint return and one of the spouses has past due government debt, the spouse without the past due debt may want to file as an injured spouse. In order to do this, we'll use Form 8379, and the injured spouse will receive their portion of the refund which otherwise would have been applied to the spouse's debt. So the spouse will still have their portion of their refund go towards their debt, and the injured spouse will still receive their refund. Some examples of the government debt would be student loans, child support, back taxes, and any other type of federal debt. Now let's look at the requirements for filing as an injured spouse. It must be a joint return, so we can't do married filing separately. The spouse must have the past due government debt, and only one spouse is liable for the past due debt. In some states, this won't apply. Once people get married, it's a joint property state, and both spouses are automatically responsible for each other's debt. But in Ohio, we are able to file the injured spouse form. Continuing on, you must have a refund due. If you owe money, there's no point in filling it out because you won't be separating out a refund to go towards the past debt. And finally, the injured spouse must have earned income. So if only the spouse with the past debt has earned income, you won't be able to file the injured spouse form. The injured spouse must have some sort of income, usually on a W-2. In order to file an injured spouse form in TaxSlayer, you'll need to find this section under the miscellaneous forms. When you've clicked to begin filling out Form 8379, this screen will pop up. This is reminding you what the 8379 is and also reminding you that the taxpayer should be aware that the refund will be delayed when this form is attached. This is what the Injured Spouse Form 8379 looks like in TaxSlayer. You will simply go through each of these questions with both spouses. If they've done this in the past, it will also be helpful if they have previous year returns, so then it will help you with these questions. This next section here is where it gets a little tricky. What we're doing basically is allocating part of these totals to the injured spouse. So this column, you'll be filling out the injured spouse's information. See how it says that the total wages on the return was $41,200. Well, if you go back and look at the injured spouse's W-2, you'd find in this case that he or she made $28,500. So that is the amount that will go into this box. This next page is the continuation of this form. In the section for the standard deduction, you'll actually split this number in half. So what you're seeing there is incorrect, and I apologize, but it should say $6,300. This is because this joint return used the standard deduction. If the couple itemized deductions, you'd need to go through each of them and determine with the taxpayers which deductions go with each spouse. Next is the number of exemptions. Notice here that the total exemptions is 5. That means there are 5 people in the household on this tax return. The way to split these is to determine who would have claimed the children had the couple filed separately. So it looks like here the injured spouse would have claimed him or herself plus their 3 dependents. The credits section includes the child tax credit, child independent care credit, and the additional child tax credit. So what you do here is allocate those credits to whoever is claiming the exemptions for those dependents. Here it seems that the injured spouse is claiming those exemptions, so he or she can then claim the credits. Please note that you will not include the earned income credit here. The IRS will determine the amount of EIC each taxpayer will receive based on their separate incomes. Other considerations you'll need to discuss with the taxpayers who are filling out this form. Let them know, like I said before, that there will be a delay of 11 to 14 weeks on their refund. If you don't let them know this, they may be calling the tax site within the next couple of weeks trying to find out where their refund is. These forms or these tax returns who have the injured spouse form attached to them are processed differently by the IRS, so it does take a little longer for them to receive their refund. So make sure they're aware of that. It may change their decision on how they want to file. Also, you want to let them know that just because they're filing as an injured spouse, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will be granted. The IRS might turn them down and take their portion of the refund towards the debt anyway. And then this last one, can the injured spouse file as head of household? Go back to your filing status lesson if you still don't quite understand head of household versus married filing joint, because there are some rules that let a married person file as head of household for tax purposes. If they don't live with their spouse for the last 6 months of the year and they have dependents, they might be able to file head of household. However, if they're living with their spouse, then they'll have to file joint separately or as injured spouse. Thank you for watching this training video. Please contact volunteer@refundohio.org with any questions or comments.